Okay, let's turn to the next problem set, which refers to that table. And so what we need to do here is calculate nominal GDP in different years and real GDP, and then calculate inflation based on the consumer price index and the GDP deflator. So what I just would do in a situation like this, I just would calculate everything quickly and then go to the question. So what we need is we basically need to expand that table and take a little bit longer, and we have to add then the nominal GDP and real GDP, and okay, so we need to calculate nominal GDP, yn. Then we have to calculate real GDP. Then we have to calculate the GDP deflator. Then we have to calculate the basket cost for the CPI. So basket cost. And then from the cost of the basket, we calculate the CPI. Okay, so let's start with nominal GDP. That's the easiest. So we always multiply the quantity times the price. So we have two goods, waffles and pancakes. So that is 100 times 2, 200 plus 100. So this is 300. Then the next one is 240 and 300. That's 540. So that is 540. Then we have 450 and 600. That gives 1050. Then we have 720 and 660. So 720 and 660. That is 13. Okay, so I hope I don't make any mistakes here, any silly ones. Okay, so now when it comes to real GDP, you remember we hold now constant the prices. Okay. So, but for the first year, the real GDP for the base year, that is still also 300, because we do 2 times 100, 200 plus 100, so that is also 300. But then in the next year, we take the quantity of the next year, year 1, with the base year prices. So we have 240 plus 150. So 240 plus 150 is 290, 390. Then for year 2, 150 times 2, 300. Plus 200 times 1, so that's 500. That's 500. Okay, 500. And for year 3, 180 times 2, 360. Plus 220, 360 plus 220, 380, 580. Okay, so now we have nominal GDP and real GDP. So now the GDP deflator, you remember the GDP deflator is defined as nominal GDP over real GDP times 100. Okay, so for the first one, 300 over 300, that's 1 times 100, 100. So now I need my calculator, 540 over 390. So 540 over 390, 540 divided by 390 times 100. Okay, so if I round that, that is 139, 138, 540 over 390, 540 divided over 390 times 100. So that is 138.46. Rounded. Then we do 1050 over 500. Times 100. So that's exactly 210. And the last one is 1380 divided by 580 times 100. So that is 237.93. 237.93. Okay, perfect. So now we move next to the CPI, and here we need to hold constant the quantity. So we erase this again so we don't get confused, and now we assume we always consume 100 waffles and 100 pancakes, but then we let the prices change over time. Okay, so the basket cost in the base years is of course also 300, that's the same. But then in the next year it is 200 plus 200, so that is 400. Then in year 2, 100 times 3, 100 times 3, 300 plus 300, 600. And in the last year, 400 plus 300, 700. Okay, so that's a 4 here. Okay, so now the consumer price index is defined in year 2 as the basket cost in the base year, in year T, so in year T over the cost in the base year. Basket cost base year. Okay, so the constant then times 100 again, times 100. So 300, that's the base year, right? 0, so the CPI in period T is 300 over 300, that's 1, so 100. Okay, so now 400 over 300, that is 133.33. Then 600 over 300, that's 2, so that's 200. Okay, so it doubled from 300 to 600. And 700 over 300, that should be 233.33. Okay, so now we should be able to answer all those questions here. So in year 0, Badlands nominal GDP, okay, that's easy, 300. In year 1, Badlands nominal GDP, year 1, 540. In year 3, Badlands real GDP is 580. Okay, calculate the rate of inflation between year 0 and year 3 once using the CPI method. Okay, so CPI increased from 100 to 233. So that's 133%. And if you use the GDP deflator, it is actually an increase of 137, or rounded 138. So that should be this one here. And the way we calculate it, of course, again, the percentage change formula is, so we take either the CPI new minus the CPI old. So in our case, the new would be year 3 relative to the old. So over CPI old. So if we do that, we would do 233. I'll just skip now the decimals, minus 100 over 100. And you see this would be 1.33, but then if you multiply times 100, we get 133. And of course, we could do the same thing for the GDP deflator. So it would be the same logic. Okay, so yeah, that looks complete. And in the next video, we'll still do a similar exercise, but it involves a little bit of growth as well. But let's just stop here.